All right, and I am live. Good morning, everybody. This is Faith once again on her morning ride. I'm able to crank one of these out at least once a week. It is Wednesday, and this is going to be September 2nd, and it is going on 3 a.m. in Phoenix. How's everybody doing this morning? Now, I don't know what time it is uh, around where you guys are, but I know it's pretty damn early. So a lot of you are going to be listening to this on the replay, and that's perfectly fine. The people that support, and I do appreciate it, whether you're in on the live or if you're listening to the replay. Just please remember as you are clicking on the video to hit the button because that does keep me on top. Like the video, share the video, support our content creators. All right. So I decided to go ahead and title this Reprogramming the Next Generation. And the reason why is because I see, especially with our Black women, but it's with both Black men and Black women, but I want to focus on Black women because this is a channel that I cater to mostly Black women. Okay. I talk about both, but it is a channel that does cater to Black women. And because of that, I do speak majority of the time to the sisters. And so I wanted to touch on reprogramming dysfunction because as I go throughout Black YouTube, I'm noticing that there is a lot of dysfunctional behavior, especially within the older generation. There's something going on with the older generation of Black women, and these are Black women 35 and older. I'm talking about 35 and older Black women. There's something going on with this generation of Black women that we need to start really addressing and talking about because it's becoming a problem, okay? And when you start seeing a certain behavior over and over again, and it's not just one person, so I don't want it to seem like I'm signaling out just one person's being targeted, but it's been multiple women. These women, some of them are even upwards into their 40s, okay, exhibiting dysfunctional behavior. And I think that we need to talk about it because, like I said in my last video, there's a lot of criticisms that are the sistering need to take onto ourselves. It's not enough that Black men are criticizing us for certain dysfunctional behaviors. I think that before the brothers can even open their mouth to criticize us, we really need to be critiquing each other and ourselves with dysfunctional behavior and calling it out on a regular and consistent basis. And I wanted to shout out a particular YouTuber because she had a really hard time these last couple of days, and that would be Mahogany Roots and MJ. Okay, that sister was on her platform and she went to a certain other YouTuber's platform and she noticed some dysfunctional female behavior going on that platform. And instead of being like all the other Black women that, frequent that person's platform and not saying anything and cheering her on in her wrongdoing, Mahogany Roots was a true sister. And I don't want this to go without being said, but she was a true sister. And she tried to pull the other sister's coattail and let her know that her behavior, the way that she was acting, was unacceptable and that, she needs to do something else. Too many times we see other Black women participating in dysfunctional behavior and we don't say anything. And I don't know if it is out of fear Whereas I don't understand why you would be fearing another adult. Okay, either the person is going to take your advice or they're not. And if that person is silly enough to go on a tangent and want to act like a child, that's on them. But at least you know that you did your due diligence. Now, we can't sit here as women on the one hand and we criticize black men for not calling out their dysfunctional behaviors. We can't sit here and ever again look to black men and say, hey, you all accept each other's dysfunctional behavior and you don't say anything. But over here in our neck of the woods as black women, we are not doing any better. And I have sat for too long on many a platform and watched sister after sister engage in disingenuous, cunning, dysfunctional, outright whorish behavior, and nobody wants to say anything. Even when I used to talk to sisters behind the scenes about certain behaviors that I would observe with other female content creators that, you know, we might have wanted to work with, we always made excuses for the dysfunctional behavior. We as black women do that all the time, especially if it's somebody that we like or we cool with. We sit up and we want to make excuses for their dysfunctional behavior. And like I said, shout out to Mahogany Roots and MJ. She is not one of those sisters. She's not going to be very popular, by the way, because of her decision to call out dysfunctional behavior. This is going to make her very unpopular here in these YouTube streets. Because, you know, we as black people, we love to gravitate towards the fuckery. We love to gravitate towards the drama. So anybody talking with good sense, anybody saying, hey, we need to get on code or have a woman code that's worth something, that shows that we have some type of, what's the word I'm looking for? That we have some kind of decorum about ourselves as women. We don't want to hear that. Instead, we like to see our women online acting a damn fool, cursing up a storm. And I'm going to talking about myself here because I do need to scale back on the profanity. So, you know, when I get sisters that pull my coattail and say, hey, Faith, you know, scale it back, I'm thankful. So we're sitting up here watching sisters engaging in this type of activity, watching sisters dragging other sisters about their looks, which is very unfeminine, by the way. Now, I can understand if you are, you know, speaking in general terms and giving constructive advice, like you are a fashion, you know, Nova or something like that. Constructive advice. But you got sisters on here that are dragging other sisters, and they actually engage in the same type of activity as the sisters that they're dragging. So you got a lot of hypocrisy that don't get called out. It's a lot of stuff that goes on in the black female sector of YouTube that don't get called out by other sistering. We allow people to sit up here and tarnish the image of black women. See, we don't need black men to tarnish the image of black women when you have black women getting caught traveling 2,000 miles just to get some peace from known black female haters. You don't need black men to tarnish your image when you got women going around doing this. And then we sit up here, I've watched, and this is mostly the subscribers of these people, okay? The subscribers, you do these people a disservice when you sit up here and protect them and make excuses. And then you continue to patronize the content even after the person shows no signs of being sorry for what they did. These are females, okay? These are all black women doing this. Yeah, and it's about time that it gets called out. So, you know, the sister, Mahogany Roots and MJ, was not wrong in pulling the sister's coattail. As a matter of fact, she does need to be applauded because, like I said, not many of us are brave enough to do such ourselves. There's many of us that sit up here and give 1,000 excuses talking about, oh, everybody got flaws. That's the first thing that we say. Nobody is perfect. And so all manners of dysfunctional behavior falls under the everybody ain't perfect umbrella. You got people out here exhibiting straight up sociopathic behavior online. And we will sit up here and protect them under the umbrella of everybody ain't perfect. I'm getting tired of this, okay? I'm getting tired of it, sick of it. Because while it's true everybody ain't perfect, that's a true statement. At the same time, there are certain people that are just toxic. And there's a difference between toxic behavior that needs to be corrected and a person making just a minor mistake. Okay? These are influencers we're talking about here. These are people that have followings. And so when you see a person getting up on their platform with a toxic mentality, influencing the masses, and then you have young women watching, and because you like the person, you're going to make an excuse that nobody's perfect and just overlook dysfunctional behavior. You are worse than the person exhibiting the dysfunctional behavior because you are an enabler. And all those enablers in that woman's chat room that Mahogany Roots had called out 2 days in a row, all those enablers are worse than the person sitting up in front of everybody exhibiting the behavior, because you all are cheering her on in her wrongdoing and you refuse to say anything. If these people didn't get views, if these people were rebuffed, they would not carry on so, because there would be nobody watching. But because you all love the dysfunction and the drama, and you find it to be exciting to watch, you gravitate over there anyway. And you all, as they say, birds of a feather, you are birds of a feather. So while you're sitting up there laughing at this person and looking at them like they the joke, it's really it's the subscribers, it's the subscribers that are the joke, because you are what you eat. And if this is the type of content that you ingest on a regular basis, you the joke. You are the main source of why the dysfunction gets to continue. We got black women on here where their content Their whole entire body of work consists more of dragging other YouTubers than their actual content. And you all make excuses for them. Here and there are a few people that will say, hey, you know, get back to your content. Here and there. But you know what? If you see a person is hell-bent on fuckery, hell-bent on sending out toxic messages and sending out toxic posturing of Black womanhood, why would you continue to go to that person's channel unless you are of the same ilk? Unless you enjoy the same fuckery day after day, week after week, you're there. And now it's mighty funny to me. If I sit up here and I might, you know, inadvertently say one little curse word, y'all ain't got no problem telling me that I'm not being ladylike. But then you got some of these women out here showing their whole vaginas on a public platform. Not just some of their vaginas, they busting it open. And y'all don't say nothing. Y'all don't say nothing to those people. But let Faith inadvertently say one curse word and y'all want to read me my rights. But you got people out here busting it open, traveling 2,000 miles to give men pussy. You got people up here, their whole content consists of trashing other YouTubers. Y'all say nothing to these people. And you continue to support their platforms anyway. But you got smaller YouTubers like myself, Mahogany Roots and MJ, Love Wisdom, Ray of the Awareness Channel that give out positive content. No drama, none of that. Things that you can actually learn from and utilize in real life. And you're overly critical of little things on our platform. But the big, brazen, idiotic, dysfunctional stuff that you see in other platforms, you write it off as just, oh, that's just how they are. Nobody's perfect. You give them excuses. Good morning, Miss J. Miss J is another woman that's no nonsense, by the way. I watch her all the time on Sister George and Concrete Rose, the breakdown. She's also a no-nonsense sister that is a great representation of womanhood. These are the Black women, the Black content creators, the Black commentators that we should be uplifting. But instead, when I go and I see some of these people's platforms that you all are big upping and supporting monetarily, these particular females, like I can't even deem to let myself call them women. Those females that a lot of you like to support, they're toxic. They go onto their platforms. Most of the time, they're not even coherent. Go onto their platforms. Most of the time, some of the time, they're drunk. Okay, you can tell they've had one too many before they even started their live stream. Incoherent, jibber-jabbering females. You got those kind. Then you have the vindictive variety, where everything that they talk about comes with a big dose of venom. These are venomous females. And so they say a lot of fly ass shit on their platform in a venomous fashion towards other black women and black men too. And they get your respect and your dollars. And none of it exudes femininity. None of it is a good example of black womanhood. None of it is something that we should even be supporting or giving our attention to. Good morning, Miss J. Miss J says, girl, you get tired of lies and the hypocrisy out here and just got to speak out against the bullshit, even if it's fruitless. Yes, girl, I'm sitting out here and I know it's early in the morning and I know a lot of people are going to catch this on the replay. But I just had to support my girl Mahogany Roots and MJ because I don't want her to think that she's out here alone speaking out on the fucker. Okay? I don't want her to ever think that she's out here alone speaking out on the fucker. Because I see it too. And I get tired of it. I see what a lot of these so-called female content creators are doing. And it's very, very destructive. There's nothing that you can use from these people that you can build from. Miss J is Mahogany Roots and MJ. And she's a very positive sister. You know, she speaks out. She's a sister that's not afraid to speak her mind. When she sees something that's toxic or not a good representation of femininity, she will speak out against it. And I don't think that she gets enough support from the sisterin, but I just wanted her to know if she ever, listens to this, if she listens to it on the replay, that, Sister Faith, is in her corner. Because I know what it's like to be the lone voice in the wilderness crying out that something is wrong. And then you got the masses coming down on it. Ms. J also says that the ones who mindlessly repeat talking points that don't hold up under further inspection. Exactly. Exactly. And so they sit up here and they talk about the men. This is the other thing. If you have a female content creator that is always talking about the wrongs of black men, what black men not doing right, and then they never address some of the things that sisters are not doing right, some of the things that we need to work on. Because see, I'm a firm believer in calling it down the middle, but I'm also a firm believer that women correct other women. Now, we can listen to some of the gripes that men have, and we can weigh the pros and the cons of the validity of what they're saying. But at the end of the day, women critique other women the same way that men critique other men. What's up, BMT? Miss J, sometimes Mahogany Roots and MJ does do panels. She does. She opens up her platform quite a bit. She opened up yesterday to anybody that wanted to say anything. So definitely she's a good person to know out here. But like I said, it's a damn shame that when she went live and she went to talk about, the female fuckery that she saw and she called it out. She went to that woman's channel and they dragged her. They talked about her. And Mahogany Roots and MJ is a beautiful sister, by the way. She's natural. Even though none of that matters, even if she was an average looking sister or not even an attractive sister, there's no reason for them to drag her like that for telling the truth. And that's the other thing, we like to shame each other for telling the truth. We sit up here and we criticize black men for using these same shaming tactics that we as Black women have no problem using against each other when we don't like what we're hearing. So no more can we sit up here and criticize Black men for calling us fat, talking about our hair weave. You know, we're having a discussion about something else, but then we're going to bring up hair weave. We do it to each other too. No longer can we sit up here and complain about Black men doing it, and we have Black women right here in the Black female sector of YouTube deferring to that same straw man argument. Yes, BMT, I saw the talk that you and Raw B had. I was there. I contributed monetarily to that platform quite a few times. BMT also says, I roll solo and understand the consequence that come with speaking on the dirty talk. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And here's one thing that I did notice. Now, Black men, for you know, to their credit, I've seen a lot more Black men coming out of the woodworks, calling out other Black men for their fucking. So I will give the Black male sector of YouTube their, you know, kudos, because I do see a lot more of you guys coming out and calling each other out. But on the female end of it, on the Black woman side, I see a lot of us making excuses for the people that we like. I like her, even though she toxic as hell. Even though half the time she not even coherent on her platform. She's drunk most of the time. I like her. Nobody perfect. We always use the excuse. Everything falls under the umbrella of nobody's perfect. Everybody got their flaws. That's what we do in the Black female sector. And understand, once again, I understand nobody's perfect and everybody got their flaws. But toxic is different than imperfection. Toxic is something that can actually be the death of a community if you allow it to continue and fester on. And so many times I have warned Black women from supporting female content creators that you see exhibiting toxic behavior that you cannot allow to fester into the younger generation. So many times I have seen very bitter, older content creators, female content creators, dripping with venom towards Black men. And we have allowed them to take off and take root. We've allowed it. That's our L to carry. We have to carry that loss as Black women because we support them. Hold on, somebody's calling me, and I am constantly declining the call when people keep calling back to back. That is my Achilles heel right there. Over and over again. I promise this person's calling. Okay, I'm trying to see the comments here. BMT says, I was asked why didn't I bring the heat on women's sector? And I'm like, I ain't over there. That's their job. Exactly. And BMT, you are exactly right. It is our job. And we haven't really been doing a good job of it. Yes, Miss J. The two names balanced folks will be called is simps or pygmies. And that's the other problem. You know, instead of silencing the toxic people that are the problem, that keep up the gender war, because that's what these people do. These toxic women that spew venom 24 hours a day only towards black men, not ever criticizing black female behavior that needs to be called out. If you are a black woman and you criticize these women, that these are other black female superheroes out here on YouTube. See, we got our female superheroes. These are Wonder Women to us, some of us. So if somebody that's balanced calls out your superhero, you're a pygmy. And I know that, you know, there's the same thing on the male side, but I'm getting on the women today because there's a lot of behavior out here that needs to be called out. It's time for us to clean the house. It's time for us to establish a black female woman code. We need to establish what black female womanhood should be like. And I don't think it should look like getting on land, flashing your vagina on a public platform, getting on land, flashing your titties on a public platform, getting on land, cussing up a storm, getting on land, talking about other women the same way that black female haters talk about other black women. BMT says, I also tell them to stop agreeing with the bullshit just to get views as a pick me and simp. If they wrong, they wrong. Exactly. Exactly. But you know, we like the shock jock value of some of these content creators. We like when they say shocking stuff. We loved it. And yes, simps and pick-me's have done damage by condoning bullshit. Hold on a second. Let me get this call real quick. This person ain't gonna stop calling. Hey, Darnay, I'm on a live stream. That's the reason why I'm not answering the phone. All right, I'm gonna call you back. All right, sorry about that. And Miss J says the reason why they call the people who call what is that? Call balls a D strikes name is because they don't like being called out. Exactly. Exactly. But if more of us did what Mahogany Bruce did, you know, we could clean up this sector of YouTube. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, we're going to get rid of all the toxic people, because if that was the case, a certain Tommy Sotomayor personality would never have been able to rise up in the ranks. And that's the other thing. Black women, we tend to support content that is detrimental to our emotional health. I don't understand why we are supporting black male content creators that are known women haters, let alone flying 2,000 miles to give them some box. But we do, you know, we support platforms that are detrimental to our growth. What's up, make it happen? Q Savage, good morning. Ms. J says calling someone a simp or pygmy who hasn't demonstrated their behavior is trying to shame them into shutting up. Exactly. Exactly. And I've been called the same thing. When I came out maybe 3 or 4 years. It's been going on about 5 years that this had happened to me. But I was telling Black women that if you're sitting up here and you are engaging in having all of these children out of wedlock by different men, then you want to sit up here and you want a good man later on in life. What that good man is going to look at you, and he has a right to evaluate you. Okay, that man has a right to evaluate you. And this is the other thing that Black women don't like to hear, that Black men have a right to evaluate women that they're looking at to be wives. And when they see that you have had no respect for your body, when they see that you have had no respect for your own womb, that you have opened it up to multiple groups of men, multiple men, that you're not even selective with who you have a child by, they are going to view you as a used up womb. I said that many years ago and got dragged by the Black female population on here at YouTube for that used up womb line, because we did not want to take the criticism. But now fast forward to today, you have content creators like Crystal and Harrison saying the same thing: no wedding, no womb. You have Black female content creators saying the exact same thing I got dragged for years ago. And I was not saying it to Black women out of hatred. I was saying it out of love and being constructive. But because many of us don't know how to take constructive criticism, we decided to be offended. Miss J says, every single time I get on a panel and speak truth and simply give a different point of view for Black women to consider, I get called all kinds of names in the chat and by other panelists. I ignore it. Exactly. At Faith, we are seeing the same cycle with all these chicks chasing the bag and trying to trap these high value men. We all know how it's going to end. At Faith, because it's common sense, and that's as common as Queen Elizabeth. Exactly. Exactly. And here's the thing: no man has ever been, how can you say, cuckolded because a woman spread her legs and gave him immortality. How many women have given men immortality only to end up single? We got a 70% rate of our children being born out of wedlock. That debunks that theory. Good morning, Reigning Woman. And Reigning Woman is another positive female content creator that calls out a lot of Black female fuckery on here. So you got Reigning Woman, and oh yeah, they tried to drag Reigning Woman over on the toxic female fuckery channel that shall remain nameless, that a lot of Black women go over there and support. And this person constantly falls out with her subscribers. And that I had called that out many weeks ago on my own channel, that this person was going to start picking off her own subscribers one by one. And Reigning Woman is just another one of this person's subscribers that has bitten the dust. And her toxicity reigns. It continues to reign because the subscribers give them power. Make it happen, yes, because the truth needs to be told. I don't care who don't want to hear it. I don't care who get offended. Truth needs to be told. But yeah, I don't too much blame the content creator, the influencer, because they're there to get money. So they're going to say whatever it is that they think the crowd wants to hear in order to get paid. And so if you're there patronizing the bullshit, then that means that you enjoy listening to bullshit. Me, I can't get down with bullshit. I tried to, listen to Clyde Diva. I heard about her channel. I forget what YouTuber told me about her. I tried to go over there and be supportive of that sister. But when I found that she was incoherent and drunk most of the time, when I found that most of the stuff that she talked about was unladylike, I knew right then and there that she and I were of two different ilks. Why would I support something that I don't believe in myself? And I'm here to tell you, those people that sit over there and support that garbage is because they are garbage. You are what you eat. So I don't too much blame the content creators or the influencers who are garbage. It's the subscribers who are garbage that sit there and they partake in the bullshit. They sit there and support that bullshit. Like, you all can sit up here and say Kevin Samuels is garbage. You can sit up here and say Tommy Sotomayor is garbage. But who do I see over there? Who do I continuously see over there? Black women. There have been black women that come to my platform praising Kevin Samuels, praising him. And his rhetoric has been, oh, black single mothers, oh, that's just for fun. That's just for practice. That's not for wiping up. And y'all still go over there looking for validation. And I have heard other female content creators use black male talking points while sitting up calling them beta males. Cynthia G. And here's the thing, and let me explain about Cynthia G. I believe that she's a very intelligent woman, but her personality, she has no problem telling black women that they're ugly, which to me stumples on the self-esteem of young black women that listen to her that don't meet a certain phenotype. She utilizes a lot of black woman hater talking points without even realizing it. And she never gets called out. And I've heard Nyla do the same thing. And no, yeah, by the way, I think Nyla is very highly intelligent. But let me utilize those two content creators to distinguish between a person not being perfect and a person being toxic. Because although I have caught them doing this occasionally, I would not say that their content is as toxic as some of these other female content creators. And I do also see them being apologetic when they do things like this. So they're not actually giving out the vibe that this is something that's okay to do or okay to be. But it's definitely a flaw on their behalf that they do these things. And even after they've apologized for it over and over again, they slip up and do it again. Now, that's what I would call, hey, nobody's perfect. Because at least they're not carrying it off as if, hey, you know what, this is me, accept me for what I am, I'm not ever going to change type bullshit that I get from some of these other toxic female content creators that will sit up here and tell you that they are a hyena and this is how they are and they never going to change. And that is definitely the wrong message. The hyena persona, that needs to die, because I don't see that as a good representation of Black female womanhood. Let me see what you guys are saying. Yeah, BMT, people left the church and started tipping YouTube church. Exactly. Miss J says, I always tell Black women, stop competing for men with your vagina. Every available data says we lose badly playing that game, but you get pushback. I get the man doing it, but the women confuse me. Yeah, I get the men doing it too, because the men benefit from you leading with your sexuality. They benefit from it. But the women talking about leading with their vagina, I don't get it either. I don't. Because you have low self-value and low self-esteem, you're going to teach other women to have low self-value and low self-esteem. Make that make sense. I can understand even when Black men try to preach on their platforms telling Black women that our standards are too high. See, it's to their benefit that we lower our standards so low that even a bozo can qualify to get something. That's what they do. You know, that's their job, to try to get you to lower your standards so that they won't have to compete, so that they won't have to raise themselves to meet that standard. That's their job, to try to convince you not to have any standards. But I don't understand other Black women going along with them, telling other Black women not to have standards. I don't get that. I don't understand why we often shoot ourselves in the foot. And that is the height of pick-me-ism, by the way. That is. And that's the other thing. I do want to get on the real pick-me's. Thank you, Sister George, for the $20 super chat. Good morning. Miss J said these men are publicly and proudly telling men to pump and dump us. And these women act like they don't hear it. Bizarre. Yeah. And that's what I want to talk about, the real pick-me's, okay? Because I have been calling out one particular famous pick-me. She has been made YouTube famous by a lot of Black men and quickly gaining a lot of traction with other Black women. And I've been saying this I've been banging on this for a long time. Jessica X, that's a problem, y'all. That's a problem. She cool. She said a lot of fly shit. But that is the ultimate pick-me. Every time I go onto her platform, these Negroes can do nothing wrong. And occasionally, she may give them a little pushback, occasionally. But for the most part, yeah, she's a pick-me. That is the textbook pick-me. If you go to that channel, listen to her talking, pick-me. When you never, hardly ever have pushback for the fuckery that these men try to place in front of you and make you eat it. And see, these guys will serve up a huge plate of fuckery and expect you to eat it. And it is only the conscious woman that will push back on it. It is only the conscious woman that will not eat of that swine that they place before you. But the pick me will not only eat of that swine, but they will try to feed it to you too. And I have no respect for them because we all know that pork ain't good for you. So why would I feed my sister in something that isn't good for them? Poison. Let me see what you all are saying in the chat here. BMT says, what all the stuff y'all talking about has that bought black women any tangibles? Good question. That's a very good question. Now, there are a few black female content creators that do speak on dating coaching, that do speak on being what do you call a professional stylist. Now, they do have a lot of successes behind it. Unfortunately, the one that I'm thinking of is a squirrel. But you can't argue with success, right? And she walks the walk as well as talking the talk. Because I see a lot of female dating coaches that don't really have successful relationships themselves, trying to tell other black women how to have a successful relationship. Do you know how arrogant I would have to be to become a female dating coach? And I haven't had too many successful relationships myself, nor am I currently in a long-term successful relationship myself. Do you know how arrogant you would have to be? But yet I still see these people doing it anyway. What's up, Doug? Make It Happen says Cynthia G. I don't know whose chat room she twerk in, but I love her content. Yeah, I still listen to Cynthia G's content. I listen from the clouds. I don't really comment that often in her chat room. Like I said, she's a very intelligent lady, but she got some ways I don't really like. You know, I'm not gonna sit up here and hide that. She got some ways I don't like. And like I said, one of those ways that she has is she like to, make comments about other black women's appearance. And to me, is counterproductive. You got young women listening, and you're engaging in some of the same black female bashing talking points that some of the men do. And I'm not saying she does this on a regular basis, but I've caught her doing it. And like I said, that's the difference between nobody being perfect, and then there's other content creators besides Cynthia that are actually just outright toxic. And yeah, they can get called out. They can get called out. All right, so everybody's greeting each other in chat. But ultimately, ladies, we have got to reprogram the next generation of black women. And it has to start with calling out our favorite influencers that don't do anything but spew negative messages to Black women. We got to do it. And like I said, Mahogany Roots and MJ is the trendsetter. She's a trendsetter because I don't see nobody else doing it. Nobody. So myself, I'm going to start doing it too. And damn the backlash, because that's the other thing. A lot of people don't say anything because they're afraid of backlash. How the hell you going to be afraid of another adult on social media? What the hell can they do to you? Oh, they dox you. Oh, they take one of your photos and blow it up and talk about you, do that little childish ass shit. You afraid of that? Because guess what? If they was going to do it, they was going to do it anyway. And too many of you are cowardly and afraid of the wizard behind the screen. Ooh, the wizard is going to blow my photo up on the big screen and embarrass me in front of everybody. And if that's enough to get you to be silent when you need to be speaking, you're a coward. You're a female coward. Doug says, I understand why there is a need to call people out, but I yet to see its effectiveness. People will still continue in their dysfunction and followers will continue their support. Yeah, and this is the reason why I said you really, really need to also focus on those followers. Okay? Because to me, the follower is actually the bigger problem than the person sitting up on the platform. Like, say for instance, I have a platform and I'm on here being the biggest asshole ever. But if I get 500 people following me every day, looking at my stream, liking my video, sending me super chats, guess who's going to continue to be an asshole? Because the followers are the problem. So not only should we get into the habit of calling out these content creators, but pay close attention to the people giving them excuses. Call their ass out too. There should be battle royal, how can I say, arguments going on in these chat rooms where people are bumping heads. This is what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to start going to war in these chat rooms. I'm serious. BMT says, and this is a small comment, if anyone is interested in working to buy land with offers, like us, okay, I will bring you together. All right. Thank you for the $5 super chat, BMT. And definitely, if anyone is looking to buy land, hit them up. But like I said, there ought to be battle royal arguments going on in these chat rooms with the followers. If you have not been timed out, if you have not been kicked out of a chat room, then you did something wrong. That means you are also the problem. That means that you set up in there and you listen to some stuff that didn't make sense and you let the people around you talk that bullshit. But yeah, you ought to be making a lot of enemies over here because there needs to be a black civil war on YouTube. There does. There needs to be a civil war. And like I said, the civil war is going to look like a lot of chaos and confusion in these chat rooms. The same way I tell black women, If you have ever called up to a show like Kevin Samuels, where this is a known black woman hater that sits up and disrespects black women, and he didn't hang up on you, he didn't block you from the channel, you did something wrong. If at the end of that phone call, somebody like him was praising you, you done already fucked up. And I'm telling you, it's too many of us, we're looking for that pat on the head. We don't want the pushback. We don't want the smoke. We scared. So we don't say nothing. This is almost as bad as the snitches get stitches rule that we have going on in our neighborhoods. And in doing this, we protect these toxic content creators. I'm going to tell you what the problem is. I'm going to tell you what the problem is. Silence. If you are silent, then that means that you approve. Ms. J said at Faith, why are black women even going over to Kevin Samuels? Just beat your own damn self and get over with. Yes. But it's wanting that validation from a black man. That so-called Kevin Samuels, I'm gonna tell you what it is. This is what I think it is. To a lot of these naive black women, Kevin Samuels represents the quintessential high-value man to them in their eyes. Because he comes on there, he's very well-spoken. He wears that suit. He seems to have himself completely together. He's tall. And for his age, he's a handsome guy, but he's very old. And so he represents that quintessential high-value black man in their mind that they should be listening to because they want someone like him. And so they think, oh, if I go to somebody that is my idea of what the quintessential high-value man is and get his advice and his approval, then I will show up as having value. And so he has knocked down the self-esteem of many black women that before they called his show, they thought that they were an 8 or 9. I remember one lady called in, she was sure that she was a 8, and he sat up there and told her she was a 6 and tore her down. And this was a very beautiful black woman, very beautiful. I saw nothing wrong with this woman. If a black man were to see that woman on the street today, he would probably be breaking his neck trying to talk to her. And Kevin Samuels called her a 6 and proceeded to tear her down. But it's her fault because she needed his validation. That's her fault. Let me tell you something. I don't need nobody's validation to know that I am worth something. And if I'm not worth something to you, I know I'm worth something to somebody. And I don't need your validation. I don't need you to tell me where I rank or none of that. You're not going to put me in any category or any box. I understand my own value. I understand exactly where I rank out here amongst other women in the sexual marketplace or the dating market. But I also know that I bring way more to the table than meets the eye. And with me knowing that value within myself, it enriches me and empowers me to do what I do. And I can get and attract the men I want because I have that confidence and because I have done the work. But I don't need a Kevin Samuels to tell me that. And the minute that Black women understand that about themselves, the better off we will be. Self-love, confidence goes a long way. And just being a good person. Yeah, you do have to work on the other things, such as your outward appearance and other things that may add value to who you are. But you should not have to get that validation from the likes of a person that will sit up and tear you down and spit on your endeavors to become a better person. And that's what I see that he does. There was a young woman that called into his show not long ago, and she was talking about how she would like to course correct and make herself a better person. And he spat all over her. You do not need advice from somebody like this. Value yourself first, and then the work that you do, the work that you begin on making yourself even better will come out to be very fruitful. You will get so much when you have a good outlook on who you are as a person first. And you don't need nobody tearing you down under the guise of keeping it real. Now, there's keeping it real under constructive criticism that helps build you. And then there's destroying a person and telling them that they're not worth anything and they'll never be worth anything. And this is the message that I've heard him tell some women. And trust me, the shit is on social media. He can't walk it back. He can't walk it back. I would never tell anybody that they're worthless. As long as you have breath in your body, you can always self-improve. Now, be mindful that you do need to be realistic about your dating goals, but that doesn't mean that you're worthless. What's up, Gia girl? She says some men don't like women. They're not gay. They just have disdain for women. Absolutely. But see, here in the female sector, we do need to have more women giving that pushback against other women. And I'm talking about even the women that we see calling into these shows. We need to be roasting their ass for playing themselves. I was watching O'Shea. He did a celebrity junk about Kevin Samuels, and there was a baby mama that Kevin Samuels had taken photos with, and people were speculating that he might have taken her away from her husband. It's all speculation. But here's the thing. Why do we as women play ourselves like this? Why do we as women even want to be caught dead in a photo with a known woman hater? I wouldn't even want to be caught dead in a photo with somebody like this, so that there could even be this type of speculation. And see, on the Black men's side, they're saying, oh, Kevin Samuels taking an L if he really, really taking an interest in a baby mama. But I want to flip that around. Let me flip that around real quick for a woman's perspective. Ladies, you play yourself when you get with these men that you know ain't shit. You play yourself when you get with these men that you know they gave you the playbook. People like Kevin Samuels and Ramil that sit up there and said, hey, pump and dump, let's do it. If you are a Black woman and you find yourself being photographed with somebody like Ramil, Tommy Sotomayor, Kevin Samuels, You played yourself because they done told you already where they rank you as a woman. They done already said how they feel about you. Miss J says that faith, desperation, and that kind of behavior brings down our collective value, to be honest. Yes. When Black women start having more value in themselves and more high self-esteem than to even be seen with these, I can't even call them men. You don't even want to be seen with them, let alone photographed. And somebody said, hey, Faith, there's Tommy. He wants to take a picture with you. My Black ass is going to say, hell no. I don't even want nobody even thinking that I'm cool with this dude. I'm not even going to want anybody to later on down the line see me all hugged up in a photograph with him and speculate that we had an affair. I'm not going to play myself. But see, the rest of us, the collective of us, we've got to get on the same program. And this is the message that I'm teaching today. Ladies, we got to stop playing ourselves. We got to start sending out the message to other Black women that we got to stop playing ourselves. And when we do see Black women that play themselves, we got to start letting them know, hey, you played yourself. You knew what this person was about. They didn't have what they felt about you. And you were still over there thinking that your vagina was dipped in 24 karat gold or platinum and that you was going to be the one to change. You played yourself. Gia Girl says most women want validation from men. If a man, even an ugly man, tells you you're pretty, many women will blush. Not all women, many women need that validation. Yeah, I've seen it. And here's the other thing, too, that we as women got to stop doing. We got to stop being so desperate for attention that we get it at the expense of another woman. Now, once again, shout out to Mahogany Roots and MJ. But I want to bring up something that I noticed a long while back when I was doing a live stream. And there were Black men in my live stream. They didn't like what I was saying. And so they tried to shame me into being quiet, which anybody should know by now. You're never going to shame Faith into being quiet. But they tried to shame me by saying I wear weave. Now, anybody that knows me knows that I will tell you when I'm wearing weave. And I will tell you when I got my own hair. As a matter of fact, I don't give a damn. But they tried it. They tried it. They were down in the chat room talking about some, but you wear weave. And that wasn't even part of the conversation, man. We were talking about something totally different, but you know how they like to throw out the hair weave shaming tactic. And then they tried to use another Black woman against me. They sat up there and they, because Mahogany was on my panel, and they was like, oh, shout out to Mahogany, a beautiful sister with her natural hair. This is what these hooligans will do. They will try to pit other Black women against other Black women. Now, had Mahogany Roots been a pick-me, had Mahogany Roots been desperate for validation, had Mahogany Roots been thirsting for attention, she would have ate up those compliments, knowing that they were throwing them out to shame me. They were only complimenting her as a comparison to shame me. They sat up there and said, oh, she's beautiful. She's got her natural hair and Faith got weave. Peep the game, ladies. And this is another way that we always take the L with one another. Mahogany Roots, she played it like a G. She set up on my platform and she said, well, I thank you for the compliment. However, I do not, and she made it clear, she said, I do not look down upon other women who wear hair weave. And that did it, what they were trying to do. It stopped them in their tracks because they were trying to work their fuckery down there in the comment section. Thank you, Mahogany Roots, for the $10 super chat. Let me see if I can read this. She says, I'm going through hell. Oh, wait a minute. Let me get my, I got to get my other glasses. These super chats, they don't come up as big with the other one. And yes, please get the likes up if you haven't already. Move over to my mighty sites here. She says, I'm going through hell with trash of YouTube, but I guess I caused it on myself. But a coward I have never been. Yes, Doug is right. I lost one of my followers due to this foolishness. But you know what, Mahogany? It's better to lose a follower that can't see that what you're saying is correct. I would rather lose a follower that want to continue to uphold the fuckery than to have that person still following me and they are with the fuckery. So you didn't lose anything, sister. You just made room. It's time to separate the wheat from the tare. And like I said, that is going to look like people unsubbing from you. It's going to look like people arguing in chat rooms. It needs to be a black civil war on YouTube. I'm serious about that. Because that's what it's going to look like. It's going to look like people timing you out. It's going to look like people blocking you from channels. And it will be a good thing. Because all the idiots will be together and all the black people that are serious about building, all the black people that are serious about putting out a positive message will come together. So yeah, there needs to be a black civil war. Because there's too much toxicity, too much. And especially in the black female sector, too much toxicity. You're welcome. You're more than welcome, Mahogany. And it needs to be called out. You know, my hat is always off to any woman that's brave enough to stand in the gap for her sisters, for the betterment of her sisters. I respect a woman like that better than a female that will sit up here and feed you poison. And I understand that there are certain things that are done for entertainment value. You know, I'm not a tight ass either. But if you find that the person is more toxic than they are entertaining, then there's no balance. There's no value. Now, a good example of that I find in the male sector of a person having a good balance of being funny and entertaining and, you know, having a certain level of fuckery, but at the same time being educational and a benefit to the black male community is O'Shea Duke Jackson. And I know there are a lot of people that have their issues with O'Shea, but O'Shea's body of work has evolved greatly over the years. So you'll see him on his Kinganda channel. He talks a lot about Black issues. He talks a lot about unifying Black people, Black Americans with Africans working together. And then he does his little fuck shit with his celebrity gossip entertainment. And I know how to separate the two. He has his entertainment, and then he has the real stuff that he puts out there, the meat and potatoes that he feeds the people. And there's a balance between the entertainment and the fuck. Over here in the Black female sector, there's no balance. You either have your people that are serious, die hard, and then you have your people that are just on fuckery 24/7. You go to their channel, you'll see a breast, and you're like, why am I looking at titties? Or you go to their channel and you'll see just a random, let's bust it wide open and show our box to everybody. Or cussing like a sailor. Every other word is a motherfuck this, motherfuck that, bitch this, bitch that. I know this is going to get flagged, but you get what I'm saying. You got your venom spewers. Black men ain't shit club. None of that is good for Black femininity. And I've seen some of them try to clean up their act like they ain't never been spewing venom against Black men 24/7 on their channel and convincing other Black women that they need to be gamed up to run game on these men. That's bullshit too. Nobody should be running game on anybody. But instead, we should be encouraging each other to self-improve. And self-improvement is not a game, y'all. Self-improvement is the stuff that lasts a lifetime. Game don't last a lifetime. So you got to know the difference between these people sitting up here talking about running game and these people that's sitting up here talking about actual self-improvement that is going to benefit you for the rest of your life. It's a lifestyle change, not a game. Because you can only for so long pretend to be a certain way before you eventually got to be who you are. So game don't last. Self-improvement does. Mahogany, I love O'Shea too. For real, for real. Like, to me, he puts out the best Black male content, hands down. Perfectiblest says self-improvement requires criticism, though, and criticism is viewed as hatred for some odd reason. Yes. You know what, Perfectiblest, you hit the nail right on the head, and this is especially for the Black female sector too. For some reason or another, when you have another Black woman talk about how other Black women can self-improve, we have to walk on eggshells. We got to say it exactly right because somebody's going to get offended. Especially when we get to talking about self-improvement on the weight issue. When Black women, when we get to talking about self-improvement as far as we got to change the way we eat, we got to diet right, and we have to exercise. so much pushback. And Crystal Harrison spoke on this too. She said she gets a lot of pushback. And then you get black women making excuses. I ain't never had no problem getting no man with all this junk in my trunk. I ain't never had no problem getting, I'm married. I don't, you get all the pushback. Anything not to eat right and go to the gym. That's all you was talking about. You didn't talk about getting a man. You didn't talk about being married. You just talked about being healthy. And you get all the pushback. But I've gotten it too. Or my favorite line that they like to come up with. Well, I can lose the weight, but ugly is forever. You ugly. I might be fat, but you ugly. Yeah, Miss J, it's embarrassing. But these are the excuses that we come up with ourselves for women. I'm just telling you what I've heard, what I've seen, what I've experienced as a woman myself. We cannot take any type of criticism. We turn nasty in like a millisecond. They don't even take a whole second before we turn nasty on each other, because we as women hate to be criticized at all by anybody. Get to talking about health and fitness. No matter how you try to approach the subject, you're always going to have that group of women with the Lizzo mentality coming in to tell you to accept them how they are. Accept me as I am. And by the way, men should accept me as I am. And if you men don't accept me as I am, you're gay. Yeah, that's right, you're gay. I've actually heard black women saying this to black men. And I think it's time to call it out. It's time to call it out. We done came up with so many excuses as to why we're overweight. And that's the one area I know that if we can have a national black hair movement where we all come together as black women and touch and agree that we are going to go back to our natural roots, we can have a national weight loss movement where we as black women can touch and agree that we want to be healthy and live longer. It's not just about attracting the opposite sex. Even though being at a healthy weight, the side effects is that you're going to look better. But the main goal is to be healthy. But we don't want to hear that. We don't want to be criticized. We don't want to hear that we are leading everybody in this country with being overweight. And before black men jump on their soapboxes, because they love to jump on their soapbox whenever they hear the discussion of weight and black women. The new 2020, this is current, so don't y'all go digging up the old stuff and wagging it in our face. 2020 information has come out from the CDC that 70% of you are either overweight or obese too. That's only a 10% difference. So sweep around your own front doors before you try to sweep around ours. Come to find out, y'all fat too. And there's only a 5% difference between you and white men in the obesity and overweight category. So I wouldn't be sitting around here bragging on it. Fat is fat. Only 30% of y'all are fit. So get your lives together. You know, before you go running up in black women faces talking about how we need to lose weight. Y'all fat too. And half of y'all not even doing it to be constructive. You're doing it to be destructive. When you talk about black women in our weight, it's not constructive criticism. You are intentionally trying to hurt black women when you speak on black women's weight. If you don't speak on black women's weight in a loving and constructive manner, then you're just being an asshole. And yes, Gia girl, the truth does hurt, but it needs to be told. A lot of you black men are fat and overweight. 70% of you are. So don't sit up here and act like majority of y'all running around here with six packs, when that is far from the truth. America in general is fat. And yes, since women don't have to rely on men for income, we like a little eye candy too. Get over it. So you need to get yourselves in the gym, get your diet plans together, and self-improve as well. Because like it or not, and it's not just black women that, want a good-looking man with money. All women are now wanting good-looking men with money. Get over it. Mr. Marion Man says, good morning, lady. Just listening as I get ready to roll out to work, but I heard you misquote something. Black male bodybuilders are considered obese and overweight. Most brothers are athletic, babe. You know what, Mr. Marion Man, you are just as bad as these black women who are, how can I say, voluptuous and may not have the belly fat. There was a black male bodybuilder not too long ago on the doctor show, and he was saying that people misunderstand that just because he has muscles does not mean that he isn't more susceptible to have stroke and heart attack, because the bigger your body is, the harder your heart has to work to pump blood through your big body. And it doesn't matter about it being a big body full of muscles. And this came from a bodybuilder. Being that big is not healthy. And how many black men are bodybuilders? Because I see a lot of you are running around here roly-poly, bird chest, man titties. Let's just be honest, there's a lot of y'all with man titties running around here. I don't see a whole lot of bodybuilders. I wish that were true. But as I go on to Tinder, as I go on to Plenty of Fish, I'm gonna start maybe I should start showing you all these black men on Tinder, Plenty of Fish, and Facebook dating. I'm gonna show you these so-called bodybuilders. The only body that they building is that big fat gut. The only body that they building is that beer belly. And it is so offensive to be approached by these guys. It is so offensive to be approached by these guys when I know I get my behind in the gym and work out. And here come Tubby in your inbox wanting to holler. So don't give me that black men bodybuilder bullshit, because I should be running across a bodybuilder a dime a dozen. But that ain't the case. Either they're extremely skinny with the bird chest, or they fat. And every now and then I might see a sprinkling of Negroes that actually get their behind in the gym. Like I said, only 30% of y'all are actually fit. So the same sources that you all like to rub in our face, the CDC, National Vital Statistics, you know, the same sources y'all like to rub in our face, y'all gonna have to take that L. And this is new shit, 2020 shit that I'm talking about. 70% of y'all are fat or obese. Now, black women have been saying for the longest time that you can't look at that BMI chart and compare it to black women bodies, because our bodies are more curvaceous than other women. We have been trying to come out with that argument for years, and y'all would not let us do it. So don't y'all come up in here trying to do it to us. Don't even try it. If you wouldn't let us use that excuse, y'all fat asses can't use the excuse either. 70% of y'all, only 30% of you are fit. Miss J said that Faith, actually go ahead and do that. I saw a white woman a few years ago have a hilarious breakdown on video about the slim picking that she had to swipe through. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it looks like I'm running through a bad area here. All right, I'm back. Can y'all hear me? Yeah, I'm going through probably a bad area and probably it cut off. But at any rate, you know, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to to go on a tangent, come in here, trying to gaslight through some stuff. Perfectible says, I've never trusted the BMI thing. According to it, I'm supposed to be 130 pounds for my height with a 26-inch waist. Right now, I'm considered overweight. Exactly. Yes, the weight issue is more than bone density. Exactly. And yeah, and I don't really want to dwell on that because it's kind of superficial. But for the most part, I want to leave everybody with the thought of longevity and health. That's the main thing. Of course, you're going to look better, when you get the weight off. That's just the nice little tip of the iceberg of the whole thing. But when we start as Black people learning how to choices with our diet, you don't exercise at all. Just changing your diet makes a huge difference. The exercise is just making your body stronger, conditioned. But the dieting, the food that you allow into your body, that's going to give you longevity. But at any rate, let me go ahead and recap real quick because I know I'm going to filter off into an area where I'm going to lose the signal, and I don't want that to happen again. But I do want to reiterate that we do need to start calling out, especially on the female side of YouTube, um, behavior that is dysfunctional and that should not be deemed as acceptable because we have the younger generation of Black women watching. Also be mindful of the Black men that we seek validation from. If these Black men are known Black women haters, there's no way that you should be seeking validation from them, and you are playing yourself. I was proud of Crystal Harrison when she made the decision not to appear on Kevin Samuel's show. She had enough self-esteem not to play herself. And that is the example that we need to all follow. Don't play yourself in the first place. Don't get on the airplane to fly 2,000 miles to give a known Black woman hater some good. Where has he shown you that he deserves that? We got to stop playing ourselves. And we got to start calling out the other Black women that do. It should be a civil war on these Black YouTube streets. The chat rooms should be fired up with people going back and forth and having these discussions with one another. It should be fired up in the chat rooms. We should stop supporting Black female content creators that are toxic. And there's a difference between a person not being perfect and then a person being outright toxic. And we got to start recognizing the difference between the two and act accordingly. Because there are some people that are not going to change. And once a person shows you who they are, believe them. Believe them. If you got a content creator where 80% of their content is about other content creators and talking about other Black women, you should have been jumped off that shit. You got a content creator that's sitting up here doing crazy shit like showing their bots on public platform, showing titties because they need attention. Maybe they didn't get enough hugs when they were young. All of that is toxic. These people need to deal with their problems, and this ain't the place for them to do. Because all they're doing is spreading their dysfunction on to the next generation that is very impressionable. Perfectively says that won't happen because people want monolithic thought in these black spaces. Yeah. And unfortunately, like I said, if you're not being kicked out of a chat room, if you haven't been blocked from somebody's channel, if somebody didn't hang up on you on their call-in show, you did something wrong. And all these things happen to Mahogany Roots. And I say, sister, bravo, you did something right. Because if they did all of that, you did something right. Because that is what telling the truth gets you. They try to silence you. They try to shame you when you tell the truth. When you try to set the standard back to what it should be. That's what happens. So if none of that is happening to you, you ain't doing something right. If you're sitting up there and you're cool on everybody's platform, then you're just one of those go along to get along type people. You got too many of those. Those are not useful. But at any rate, I want to go ahead and end it on that note. I want to thank everybody that came in to support. Chia Girl, Brandon Woolman, Perfectibliss, Miss J, all the people that came in here. If I missed somebody, Rudin, what's up? Yeah, Rudin, less than 30%. I said it. I said it. Go run, tell it. uh, yeah, I didn't even see you come in here. I'm blind to all this stuff that's going on in the chat. But everybody that came in here, Mr. Marion Man, even you too. Mahogany Roots, definitely. Sister George, and shout out to everybody that gave the super chats today. I appreciate you. But yeah, that's the end of my my roll call. Thank you, Miss J. I tried. Miss J said another fire chat until we meet again. Absolutely, absolutely. And Perfectibliss, oh yeah, a lot of people are gonna realize that this channel is not the channel that to be trifled with. It's not the channel to be trifled with. Faith ain't nothing to be trifled with. Okay, you're gonna get the real deal every time. I don't give a damn. I don't cater to nobody, male or female. And so that's the reason why I am hated basically in both sectors. And when you're hated like that, you're doing something right. But like I said, I'm going to go ahead and end on that note. Thank you to all my supporters, and I'm out. Peace.